watch a TV series about a scientist. It's called Bones, and she worked in this very, very fancy, high-tech lab, and I always imagine being in a lab like this, but it's like, I don't know how it's going to happen, but then every time I walk in, the first day I walked in here, I'm like, wow, this is NASA.
I always wanted to work on something with a just cause. This is teaching from my mum. I wanted to work with a talented group of individuals. I didn't know that I wanted to be a scientist, definitely, or a physician. But what I'd say is that I feel immensely privileged to work with a group of very talented scientists who are a really diverse team of people, and I think it's a big source of inspiration to me, in addition to the patients that we're trying to help, of course.
My name is Taha. I'm a PhD student at the University College London, working in the Francis Crick Institute.
My name is Ricky Patani. I'm a professor of neurology at Queen Square and a group leader at the Francis Crick Institute. Our main field of research is motor neuron disease, which is otherwise known as ALS. So this is a rapidly progressive and invariably fatal, devastating neurodegenerative disease which renders patients paralysed, and they progressively lose the ability to eat, speak and breathe. And that all usually happens over just 2 to 3 years. And it remains incurable because we don't understand the underlying disease mechanisms. So there's a very desperate need to advance our understanding in this area in order to guide more sophisticated therapeutic strategies.
So in the brain we have neurons, which are making the main function of communicating to one another, and they are responsible for the functions in the body. And around them there are supporting cells, and I'm interested in one of these supporting cells, which are called astrocytes. So they have a recycling function where they take up an excess neurotransmitter that's found in neurons, which is called glutamate. They recycle it and they send it back to the neurons. They provide nutrients for neurons to do their function. Also, at the beginning, when you have so many connections between the neurons, these things need to be refined. And what the astrocyte does, it's like pruning. It's like pruning of the trees. So it does this pruning to help refine the connection between the neurons. So it's there to support, it's there to protect, because it's also have an immune function. So if there is any threat around the neurons, it can help to defend them. So you can imagine if anything went wrong with the support and defense system, that would have a great effect on the neurons as well.
In the context of diseases, these star cells can become angry, and they actually turn on the neurons. So it means that they can either withdraw their support from the nerve cells, or they can actively harm them. And I think understanding precisely how that happens, when it happens, will allow us to more effectively treat these disorders. Within the cell you have the blueprint of the cell, which is the DNA, and that exists within the nucleus or the central control center. And it's a bit like a master recipe book. And each page is photocopied, and those photocopies go out into the other parts of the cell called the cytoplasm, where they're used to sort of make the meal. And what we found is that those photocopies are corrupted, so there are errors within those photocopies, and that for us was a real breakthrough moment. And it turns out that affects both the motor nerves and the star cells.
So every day you're faced with a question, and you need to find ways to approach that question and to answer that question. The great thing is having people around you that you talk to, you brainstorm with. We come up with ideas, we help each other to solve that problem. And we laugh about our mistakes all the time and the things that go wrong as well. So being part of Ricky's Lab has been great, because you get to just experience our thoughts, to speak up our thoughts, and also help find solutions to each other's scientific problems. I'm hoping we can understand how astrocytes behave in motor neuron disease. And if we can narrow it down to specific pathways or specific proteins that are being changed in that context of the motor neuron disease, that we can then target it and use it for drug therapy. So it's not only, because the drugs available now mainly focused on the motor neurons, so if we can expand this and find something also for the astrocytes, so basically trying to target the disease from different directions in attempt or in hope that this would help.
My ultimate hope for motor neuron disease is to be able to change the conversation that I have with my patients in clinic. And the ideal scenario is to be able to reverse the damage that's already occurred. But I think that something that might be realizable in the nearer term would be to slow down or to stop the disease from progressing. That's really what we're trying to do.